Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 4th of August and welcome to the Hindu newspaper analysis. So guys, in the today's video, we are going to discuss the entire analysis of the Hindu newspaper along with the background as well as the way forward in the articles. And meanwhile, I would also like to remind you that you can download the explainer PDF from the Telegram channel. Fine, and the link for the Telegram channel has been given in the description box. Now, first of all, let's see the overview of the entire newspaper in order to understand that which articles are going to be important in the today's newspaper. So here I have the Delhi edition and this is the page number 1. So guys, here the first article we can see is that Supreme Court has called for a panel to look into the freebie issue. So with respect to the GS paper number 2, we'll see this issue. China steps up pressure on the Taiwan. So guys, in the yesterday newspaper, we have seen this particular thing that the US speaker has visited the Taiwan. Fine, and because of that particular thing, China is very much frustrated, and now the China is exerting the pressure onto the Taiwan that the Taiwan should mend its way. Clear, guys. If you have not seen the yesterday's newspaper analysis, guys, please do see this particular topic. I had covered all the issues as what is a strategic ambiguity, strategic clarity, and all those things. Then moving on, young Indian office sealed by the ED. Fine, with respect to the exam, the article is not very much important. Tricolor campaign with the Nehru twist. So guys, here we have seen that the Prime Minister has asked that every Indian should in their DP should put a picture of the tricolor flag, and then another political parties are suggesting something else. That thing is there, not important for examination. Then moving into the city section, coming soon an app based bus service. Is it clear or not, guys? So basically this example, now you don't need to go into this particular article, but this example can simply be used in your answers. So guys, when we talk about the urban cities, there is a concept of ease of living. Now ease of living means that how easily the civic facilities are available to a citizen, and ease of living is a very important in order to ensure the good livability. So guys, the Delhi government is basically coming on this app based bus service thing, fine, which will be important to enhance the public transportation in Delhi. Then moving on, other sections into other things into the regional section are not important with respect to the UPSC examination. Political news, regional news, advertisements, etc. such thing is given. So directly we'll reach to the editorial page, and on the editorial, fine, the first article, teaching the Taliban the wrong lesson. So guys, this particular article, it is just talking that how recently the Taliban, it is very much confident that the world countries, they are going to recognize the Taliban. Fine, the Taliban which came by force in the Afghanistan, Taliban which have degenerated all the human right development that has happened into the Afghanistan, looks more confident. Fine, so such kind of a things, and the developments within the Taliban are being discussed. Fine, with respect to the UPSC, the article doesn't contains the academic substance which is relevant for our examination. So you not need to go too much into the detail. Then public asset sale and a concern of fiduciary duty. We'll see this particular article with respect to the privatization that that the government is going. Fine, we'll be seeing this particular article. Then this article talks about the BS Koshyari's intent as exceeding his brief as Maharashtra's governor. So basically, governor's remarks and his comments, etc. are being discussed. So guys, the article, it is a political article. Fine, again, with respect to the examination, such kind of articles are not needed to be seen. However, if you have some interest in reading political news, etc., you can read. Otherwise, for UPSC, the article is not important. Then guys, the article, it is talking about the trade deficit which is increasing. Now guys, what is a trade deficit? Fine, see, when we are importing more than what we are exporting, there is a trade deficit that is there. Now guys, the trade deficit will increase the current account deficit of India. Such kind of a thing has been provided. Here the data is being given that okay, how much percentage, basically the drone killing of Al-Zawahiri. Fine, again, with respect to the UPSC article is not that much important. Understanding the provisions for the foreign visit of government ministers. Fine, we'll briefly see this. However, just overview needs to be seen. Then guys, Hyderabad through multiple prisms. Okay, so basically Hyderabad, the city's attractions and all these things are being discussed. Then moving on, India to host UNSC meet on the counter terrorism. This is a good article. We'll see with respect to how in GS paper number 2 as well as in GS paper number 4 we can use this particular article. Then further moving on, in this particular direction. Center raises fair prices for sugarcane harvest. Fine, we'll see this thing. Cabinet note for the climate pledges. So guys, we'll see this particular article also important with respect to the international obligations. Fine. Then after that, the man lynched in MP for suspicion of cattle smuggling. Okay, and all these particular things not important. CGI's recommendation on successor sought. So who is going to succeed the CGI? This particular thing is there. However, for exam you don't need to follow this particular article. Then guys, the political articles etc has been given in this particular page. Nothing is important in this particular direction for our examination, so you need to simply skip this page. Then on to the world page. Sri Lanka's hardship to persist till the end of the year. So guys, Sri Lanka, it is asking for the fund, it is asking for the financial help from the IMF under the extended fund facility. Many other countries are also coming to the help. For example, India had also provided the fiscal package to the Sri Lanka. So it is just saying that that particular thing will continue for an entire year. Then guys, further moving on, will continue to hold the line of defense Taiwan. So the China has been frustrated because the USA's speaker has visited the Taiwan, and Taiwan says that basically we are an independent country and what we ever want we can do that particular thing. US Indonesia hold joint military drills. Fine. So this we can see that how the USA is trying to corner the China, and all the neighbors around the China, USA are bringing them in their line of league. Somebody for example with Indonesia, US is doing a kind of a military exercise. Moving on, service growth slides to 4-month low. Okay guys, with respect to examination you don't need to go into these particular kind of a numbers because they are not important, and moreover they also change. Fine. Export slowdowns, okay, and all those particular things, fine, etc have been given. Fine. Onto the business page, which majorly pertains to the corporate trends and these kind of trajectories. So this is all guys about the newspaper today, and now let's take all the relevant articles one by one in the detail. Now let's start with it. So guys, first of all, as in every class I give you a GS quotation that you can use in one of your paper. So today we are going to take the quotation from the Mahatma Gandhi ji. So Gandhi ji says that the rich must live more simply so that the poor may simply live. Rich must live more simply so that the poor may simply live. So guys, the Gandhi ji was a firm believer. Gandhi ji was a firm believer into a particular theory, that is the theory of trusteeship. Now guys, into the theory of trusteeship, Gandhiji had provided that if you get the wealth, if you have the wealth, you should not behave as the owners of wealth, and that particular wealth should not be used only for self gratification, for opulence, for extravagance. That particular wealth should not be used. Rather, that particular wealth should be used for the public welfare. You should behave as the trustees of that particular wealth, and in that particular line, rich needs to live as simply as possible, and they need to use that particular wealth for giving the basic dignities to the poor people. Guys, today we have seen that the inequality in the world has increased to such a high level. Gender inequality, inequality between the haves and the have-nots, and in this particular inequality, poor people are not able to get even the basic necessities of their life. So basically, this inequality, find the rich people, they needed to take a more humanitarian and compassionate view towards the poor people. So this particular idea we can utilize in the GS paper number 4 ethics. GS paper number 4 ethics. So that is all about this quotation, and now let's take the first article. So guys, the first article we have taken from the page number 1. Supreme Court calls for a panel to look into the freebie issue. Now this particular article where we are going to use, we'll see this article with respect to the GS paper number 2 electoral reforms. GS paper number 2 electoral reforms. Now guys, before going in this particular article, I would like to give you some of a background, and after seeing this background, we'll see this article. So recently the Prime Minister had used a particular reference. He has used a word, that is the Revdi culture. Now what is this Revdi culture? Revdi culture is the tendency by the political parties where they are promising some irrational freebies to the people, and people get attracted to these irrational freebies and they vote to the political parties. Now guys, what is a freebie? Freebie is just a kind of a dole that is being promised to the people. For example, if I will come to the power, I will give you a TV, I will give you a scooty, I will give you a laptop. So these are the freebies. So basically Prime Minister had said that that these freebies are like a revdi culture. When these freebies are being provided, find the electorals, they get they get illusioned and they are not able to decide that whether a political party will be bringing a genuine development or not. Only onto these freebies elections are being fought, which is wrong. Now guys, when we talk about the freebie, there is first of all a kind of a debate that automatically starts from here. Actually there are the two words, one is a freebie and other is the entitlement for the social justice. Now guys, this is not very clear that what actually is an irrational freebie and what is a justified entitlement. For example, if a person is being given the free food grains, if a person is being given a health insurance, if a person is being given the subsidized LPG, subsidized fertilizer, is it a freebie or is it an entitlement for the social justice which is very much needed? So many a times the political parties justify these particular things that they are the constitutional entitlements that they are being given, and moreover the DPSP, directive principle of the state policy, also puts the burden, provides this particular thing that the state has to carry the welfare of the citizens. So they provide the freebie in the name of social justice. So identifying that what is really a freebie and what is a social justice entitlement, it is very much difficult. And in this particular direction, the Supreme Court is very much concerned. Supreme Court says that these irrational freebies are to be curbed. Now guys, why irrational freebies are a problem? Because of many particular issues. Number one, it is an economic problem. It is an economic problem. When the irrational freebies such as a TV set, mixer grinder, etc. are being promised, it creates an unnecessary economic burden on the state. The same money could have been used for a developmental purpose, for other national priorities, but this particular money is getting wasted. Second, that these freebies, they are a populistic exercise. Now what do we mean by the populistic exercise? Any phenomena where just you are trying to attract the people. So it is a populistic exercise and a genuine developmental thing is often ignored. So therefore freebies are wrong. Now guys, a few days back the Supreme Court has asked the government that how or what we can do in order to curb this particular freebie culture, and now the Supreme Court has provided this particular thing that we are going to establish a specialized body. A specialized body will be established which will examine this particular problem of freebie, how to identify a freebie and a social justice based entitlement. Supreme Court had said that we will not going to leave this particular task on the government, because no political party at the end of the day wants to remove this freebie culture, because every political party is getting some kind of a benefit from this freebie culture. So no political party is serious. Moreover guys, it was said that the Election Commission of India should be given this particular task to study the freebie culture. But guys, actually the suggestion has been made that this is not only an electoral issue. Please keep in mind the freebie, it is not an electoral issue. It is a social and a political and an economic problem which is to be studied from a lot many dimensions. So rather than the Election Commission of India, a specialized body consisting an expert have been given this particular task. What will be the composition and all these particular things will be decided by the Supreme Court in meanwhile. Moreover, these freebies, they have also been compared as an economic disaster, and it distorts the voters from forming a informed decision. Moreover guys, one more particular thing additional from this particular article I would like to tell you. So basically when this freebie thing was being discussed, at that point of a time, senior advocate Mr. Kapil Sibal has suggested one particular thing few days back. Basically what we can do, fine, we have article number 280, and under article number 280 there is the Finance Commission which is constituted by the President after the gap of every 5 years. Now this Finance Commission recommends that how the fiscal transfers from the center to the state will be made, how many percentage of taxes will be shared between the center and the state. Fine, why we have seen that 14th Finance Commission increased the share of the taxes that will go to the state government from 32% to 42%. So the Finance Commission is an important body deciding the fiscal transfer. So therefore the Finance Commission could take this particular matter that the states which are promising more of a freebies, their funding or their grant might be reduced. Okay, so on this particular thing, this freebie could be curbed. But again guys, there will also be again a problem that will come. Many a times there could be the politicization of this particular matter could be there, subjective assessment could be done. But anyhow, using the Finance Commission in this particular direction could be a kind of a good suggestion that you can use in your answers. So that is all about it, and now we'll move to the next article. Cabinet nod for climate pledges. Now this particular article will be using with respect to the GS paper number 3, climate change and India's action, as well as in GS paper number 2, India's international obligations, fine, India's agreements into the multilateral groupings, etc. We'll see this particular article. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that I will not directly be going in this particular article, but before that I will be giving you some of a background which is very much important, and only once you understand the background, then you can understand this particular article that has come. So guys, this particular story will start from 2015. This particular story will start from 2015, not actually 2015, but even in 2014. So basically in 2014, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, it submitted its fifth assessment report. IPCC submitted its fifth assessment report, and in the fifth assessment report, IPCC provided this particular thing, that the carbon emissions that are being emitted by the world countries, the climate change is being real. And the fifth assessment report of IPCC provided that 2 degrees Celsius temperature rise will be there over the coming few years if we don't restrict, if we don't reduce our carbon emissions. Now, on to the basis of the IPCC fifth assessment report, the world countries got assembled, and in 2015, Paris deal was signed. In 2015, the Paris climate deal was signed, and in this Paris climate deal, the different countries, they took up the targets, and these targets were called as INDC. INDC stands for Intended Nationally Determined Contributions. In these INDCs, all the countries, they said that okay, we are going to do something in order to reduce our carbon emission. We are going to do something so that the climate change problems can be mitigated. And guys, in 2015, India also took certain targets. First of all, what were the brief aims of this 2015 Paris Climate Agreement? Number one, we will try to limit the global warming to 2 degrees Celsius. Okay, the temperature rise should not be more than 2 degrees Celsius. However, it was also said that if possible, restrict the temperature rise to less than 1.5 degrees Celsius, but 2 degrees Celsius was an official target. Fine, 197 countries negotiated it, fine, and more than 190 countries signed that, even India ratified it. Now, what was the India's target? Number one, India said this particular thing, that we will reduce our emission intensity by at least 33% by 2030. So basically, India said that whatever emissions we are doing, we will reduce our emissions by 33%. Is it clear or not? Now keep one particular thing in your mind. At many places it is not written. So basically, we will reduce at 2005 level. Keep in mind, we will reduce at 2005 level. What it means? Whatever emission we were doing in 2005, let's say in 2005, we were emitting the 100 unit of carbon. So at 2005 level, 33% reduction will be done. Is it clear or not? So this is something that was the first target. Second target was said that we will generate our 40% of the electricity from the non-fossil fuels by the 2030, and then it was said that an additional carbon sink of 2.5 to 3 billion ton will be established. So all these particular things were decided here in the 2015 Paris deal. Now guys, as this particular thing happened, the world countries discovered that actually much is not being done in order to reduce the carbon emission, and it was said that actually we need to take more of our pledges. And in this particular direction, the COP26 was hosted in 2021. Now India participated in this COP26, and there India had agreed on this Panch Amrit. Now what is the Panch Amrit? Panch Amrit were the 5 targets that were taken by the Prime Minister on the behalf of India. Now what are these Panch Amrit targets? Number one, it was said that we will reach non-fossil energy capacity to 500 gigawatt. 500 gigawatt of electricity will come by the renewable sources by 2030. 50% of energy requirement of India will be fulfilled by the renewable energy by 2030. Reduce 1 billion ton carbon emission by 2030. So this much carbon emission will reduce carbon intensity to 45% by 2030. So guys, earlier you see this particular thing that we have taken this particular target of 33%. So this 33% increased to 45. And then finally it was said that we need to achieve the target of net zero by 2070. Carbon neutrality was to be achieved by 2070. Net zero means that whatever emission we are emitting and whatever we are absorbing, the balance between them will be zero. Fine. So whatever we'll emit, the same we will absorb also. So carbon neutrality by 2070. Now guys, understand one particular thing very clearly, Many of the aspirants are confused with this COP26 pledge. Many of the aspirants think that whatever we did in this COP26, it was the revision of our INDC target. But no guys, it was not the revision of our INDC target. It was just something extra that India promised, but India did not revise officially the INDC targets. And now coming to this present development. So guys, presently what has happened, now India has finally revised their INDC targets, and India has revised the INDC targets by taking some kind of a reference from the COP26 Panch Amrit. So what now India has done? Now the cabinet has approved the 2 promises out of the 5 promises that we have taken in the Panch Amrit. Number 1, India had said that we are committed to reduce the emission intensity of the GDP by 45% by 2030. So whatever the carbon emissions we were doing in 2005, on that level 45% reduction will be done by 2030. And second is that 50% of electricity will be coming from the non-fossil fuels, from the renewable energy by 2030. So these are actually the 2 official revisions in the INDCs that we have done. Okay, so India had clearly said that the updated INDCs will not include all the promises made at COP26. Only 2 promises have been integrated. So this is all about this particular article, guys, and actually you need to know this entire background first in order to make sense of what has happened right now. So that is all about this article, and now guys we'll be moving on the next to the next article. Now, India to host UNSC meet on counter-terrorism. Okay, now this particular article will be using with respect to the GS paper number 2, India and international agreement to fight the problem of terrorism. Okay, so guys, basically now there is GS paper number 2, and in GS paper number 2 there is international relation. In international relation, India's relations with the world, India's obligations with the multilateral bodies, etc. Such things are provided there, we can use it. Moreover guys, in GS paper number 4 also we can use this particular article as what India is actually doing in order to fight the problem of terrorism which has plagued the entire humanity, every person on this particular earth. So we're going to see this particular article. Now guys, first of all I would like to tell you some of the basic information before going in this particular article. Number 1, when we talk about the United Nations, in the United Nations Security Council is one of a principal organ of the United Nations. In the United Nations Security Council there are the 5 members which are the permanent members, and then there are the 10 members which are the non-permanent elected members. Okay, and they are chosen from time to time. Right now in the UNSC, India is the non-permanent elected member, and India's term is 2021 to 2022. So right now India is a non-permanent elected member in the UNSC, and because of that particular thing, India is chairing many of the meets. India is taking many of the initiatives in the UNSC. Clear? Now guys, basically India is now bringing up the theme of counter-terrorism in the UNSC. So basically, first of all, understand some of the background information, and then we will be moving to this particular article. So guys, the background information goes like this, that see, over the past few years there are many of the emerging technologies which have come to the forefront, and in these particular emerging technologies are actually being used by the terrorist organizations for their own advantage. Guys, see, when we talk about the technologies can have the good use, it can have the bad use. Good use is that by using the technology we can enhance we can target the better social justice to the poor people, we can solve many of the problems, but at the same time these technologies are also used for the wrong purposes. Now let's say, now what are the emerging technologies? Internet and the social media. So guys, the internet and social media, it has a positive role. It has given the voice to the voiceless people. It has democratized the media. But at the same time, internet and social media are being used by the terrorist outfit for recruiting, for radicalizing the people, for carrying their narratives. Internet and social media has been used. Radical indoctrination of the youth. Radical indoctrination of the youth is being done by the terrorist organizations by this internet and social media. Secondly guys, we see this particular thing, that internet has also facilitated a new kind of a funding for the terrorist organizations. organization. For example, the cryptocurrencies can be transferred from the internet, and these cryptocurrencies are now becoming a new channel for the terror financing. So internet and social media are one of an emerging technology and are being used by the terrorist organization. Then the terrorism financing. So guys, now that ways of terrorism financing has enhanced. For example, I had given you that the cryptocurrencies are being used which are not regulated, which are not controlled by any central bank. Fine. Unmanned aerial vehicles, drones. Okay, so the drone technology had become wide pervasive, and many times the drones are being used by the terrorist organizations for their own advantage. So basically, how to make sure that these technologies are used only for positive purpose, for this particular thing, India is now convening a particular meet. Now guys, India will host the diplomats from all the 15 countries within the UNSC, 5 countries who are the permanent members and 10 countries who are the non-permanent members. India even we will bring together the China, Russia, USA. Now particularly guys, when we talk about the China, Russia and the USA, there is a kind of a rough patch that is going between these 3 countries, but they are still being brought together onto a common platform. We can call that this is a kind of a positive goodwill of India by which India is able to do that particular thing. So guys, what is this particular meeting where all these particular matters will be discussed? So this meeting, it will be the meeting of the counter-terrorism committee. It will be the meeting of the counter-terrorism committee, and this particular meeting will focus as how the challenges such as the terrorism financing, how the cyber threats of the terrorism, and how the use of drones can be regulated so that they are only used by the state agencies and they are not used by the terrorist organizations. Now guys, just I would like to give you one additional information is that India has been a country which has from the very start provided that the terrorism is the biggest threat for the entire humanity. Now guys, India is promoting the Comprehensive Convention on International Terrorism since 1996. Now guys, this could be a surprise for you that the terrorism is the biggest problem right now in the world, but we don't have one comprehensive convention for terrorism. Actually, there are the 13 different sectoral conventions which are dealing with the different parts of the terrorism, but we don't have one comprehensive convention for terrorism up till now. India is putting forward the CCIT, that is the Comprehensive Convention on International Terrorism, since 1996. So this is actually a very good initiative that has been taken by India. Now in this particular meet onto the counter-terrorism that India is hosting, India will further put this CCIT that we should now adopt this CCIT because it is now so many of the years that it has been suggested. Now guys, when we talk about the terrorism, particularly for the terror financing, the FATF, Financial Action Task Force, had recognized many of the mechanisms, fine, by which it is trying to curb many of the terrorist financing related things. For example, terrorists, they are using the cryptocurrencies for their financing, fine, and many such kind of things are being regulated, but still much more is to be done, and that particular thing will be done by this counter-terrorism committee that India is now hosting within the UNSC. So guys, this particular thing can also be used as the initiatives that India had taken while India had basically have been the partner in these organizations. So a good article, please do use it in your references. Now we'll be moving to the next article. Now this particular article we have taken from the editorial section, Reaping the Demographic Dividend. Okay. Now this particular article will see with respect to the GS paper number 2 as well as GS paper number 3, India's human resource. India's human resource or India's human capital, we can use this particular article. Now guys, first of all, let's discuss about some of the background basic informations. Demographic dividend. What do we mean by this particular demographic dividend? So guys, the word demography means related to the population. Now the demographic dividend means a benefit, a profit or an advantage. So demographic dividend means the benefit or an advantage that a country will have because of a favorable population. Now what is a favorable population? Favorable population is young population. It is the population which is not dependent. Now who are the not dependent population? People who are in the working age. These population is the one who is not dependent. Now when in a country the number of of people who are not dependent, when the number of people who are young, it increases, it provides an economic advantage to that particular country because they can be an productive workforce, and whenever this number of productive workforce will increase, the country will pass through this particular window of demographic dividend. Now guys, nearly all the countries in this particular world, they have passed from this demographic dividend window. India is now entering in this particular window of demographic dividend. If I tell you today the average age of India is 28 years, it means that we are a very young country. We have a lot of productive workforce, so they can provide an economic advantage to India. So guys, India can replace China as the world's factory because of this young population. So this is the demographic dividend that India is going to reap. Now guys, recently the World Population Prospect Report 2022 was released by the United Nations, and according to this World Population Prospect Report, UN provided this particular thing that the world's population will reach 8 billion this year, 9.8 billion by 2050, and India is going to be the most populous country by 2023. Next year we will replace the China as the most populous country in the world. Okay, but at the same time it also provides that India will have the demographic dividend. For next 30 years we will have this demographic dividend window. We will have young population, and this particular thing will determine our economic progress. Now guys, in this particular article there are some of the references that have been given. We will use these particular references. Some of the reports have been provided. Number one, a 2017 Deloitte Insights provide that India's potential workforce, number of people who are working, they will increase from 885 million to 1.08 billion dollar, and for the next 2 decades, okay, we are going to have a very high population who will be into the working age. Okay, for the next 2 decades our working population will be above 1 billion people. So 1 billion people means 2 billion working hands, which is huge. Then second thing that is provided is that McKinsey as a report is there, and the name of the report is India at a Turning Point 2020. Now this particular report provides that, see, there are many trends that are right now coming in the world. For example, the digitization is increasing, automation is increasing, supply chains are being shifting. Now they are being shifting from the countries such as China to the countries such as the India, Malaysia, Philippines, etc. Then there is urbanization. Okay, much people are moving from rural areas to the urban areas. There are rising income, demographic shifts are there. Fine, the nature of population, okay, so the demographic shifts are there. Then the focus on sustainability, health, safety, all these things are there. Now guys, these particular things, now you see, automation, digitization. If a supply chain is being shifting, who is going to manufacture? In urbanization, the share of the young population obviously is going to increase. In all these particular factors that are coming, young population is going to play an important role. And actually, these all the changing factors, they will create a $2.5 trillion economic value. They will create $2.5 trillion economic value. It will generate 112 million jobs. Fine. Now this advantage will be obviously taken by those countries where young population is more. Why? Because young population is more suitable to adapt to digitization, automation. It is young population which is urbanizing more. Young population is one which is whose incomes are changing. They constitute today a very big chunk of the middle class, and as India has a young population, this $2.5 trillion economic value will be reaped by India very positively. But guys, at the same time there is a flip side. There are some of the problems also. Now the problems, there have been a reference that is given of a Financial Times article, demographics and Indian workers are not ready to seize the baton. Now what it says that, see, we have young population, but only having young population is not going to do the wonders. We need to tap the potential of this young population. What we need to do, we need to have better infrastructure, we need to have healthy workforce, we need to have educated workforce, we need to have the skilled workforce. Only then they can contribute into the nation building. Otherwise we will not have demographic dividend. This demographic dividend will convert into demographic burden, in demographic disaster. So DD will turn in DD, demographic dividend will turn in demographic disaster if we will not educate, skill, and we healthify our people. Now in this particular direction, basically it has been said that India has bad infrastructure, poorly skilled workforce, which will impede its growth. Now there is a report by the Rand Corporation. Now guys, the Rand Corporation, it is a think tank of US. Now the Rand Corporation has done a comparison between the China and India. Okay, now in this particular thing, it has been said that actually when we talk about the India has a see one particular type of an advantage. Basically, India does not have the huku system. Now what is this huku system? Huku system is in China, where what China does, China has made a kind of a huge divide between their rural population and between their urban population. Rural people are being placed in some kind of a different avenues, and urban people are being placed in some kind of an urban avenues. So under this huku system, what China has done, it has codified the social inequalities and had divided the population in two classes, rural and urban classes. Is it clear? So basically the rural folks, they are being placed into the rural parts, in rural cottage industries, in rural small scale plants, etc. But the young population, they are being placed in manufacturing, automation and all these things. So China today has seen a lot of inequality, where there is one small but more prosperous urban China, but another one that is the big but less prosperous, the rural China. In India, such kind of inequalities are not there. So guys, India is at a better position, but India, what it needs to focus, it needs to focus on certain sectors, that is the quality education, higher education as well as school education, healthcare, skilling and all these particular things. So India must seize the opportunity and needs to tap this particular demographic dividend immediately. So that is all about this article, and now we'll move to the next article. Public asset sale and the concern of fiduciary duty. Okay, now this particular article will see with respect to the GS paper number 3, privatization and related issues. Now basically guys, before going in this particular article, when we talk about certain things, I would like to tell you which could be a value addition for you guys, which you can use in your other static answers. So basically, when we talk about the role of a state, there could be two types of role that the state can play. State can row, or the state can steer. So basically, state to row, it means that the state can actually drive the economy, and actually in India the state has played the role of a rower till 1991, where the state was actually driving the manufacturing, state was actually deciding where the public sector will work, where the private sector will be there, all these particular things. The size of the state in economic activities was very much huge. State was playing the role of a rower. But when the 1991 reforms came, after the 1991 reforms, we went for the LPG reforms, liberalization, privatization, globalization, and it was said that the role of a state needs to be changed from the rower to the steerer. Steerer means that the state should only give the direction, okay, and should not actually participate in many of the things where the private sector can come. And as the state has assumed this role of a steerer, state is exiting in many of the sectors where actually the private sector can work, and more of privatization the government is going for. And in this particular privatization, what has happened, the latest thing is the sale of Air India to Tata. So government has exited from this Air India and had sold this particular thing to a private player. It shows that India is further moving, or the state role of India as a state is further changing to the steerer. Now this article, it is saying that what we have done, we have actually sold the Air India, but there are certain problems that are going to come. So such that particular thing has been provided. You don't need to go too much into the detail in this particular article, just you need to see overview what has been provided. Now basically guys, the article says that there are two things. Number one, there is asset sale, and second, there is the sale of an enterprise. Sale. Now what is an asset sale? Suppose the government is having some machinery, government is having some land. So government will simply will search a buyer and will sell this particular asset. Government will get the money. It is an asset sale. Asset sale is very much simple. You sell something, you get the money, deal done. But then there is an enterprise sale, and enterprise sale is different from the asset sale. For example, recently the Air India has been sold to the Tata. So this is an enterprise sale. Now why it is different? Because guys, when the enterprise is being sold, there will be the assets that will be sold, very good, and but at second there will also be certain liabilities that are also to be shifted. For example, the Air India, it has taken a lot of loan from the bank. It has taken certain loan from the bank for the expansion, for their operations, etc. Now guys, when the Air India is being sold to the Tata, when this particular Air India is being sold to the Tatas will be given the assets. For example, they will be given the planes, they will be given all the machinery, etc. But what about these particular loan? So government actually says that okay, you take the asset, you give us some money, but whatever the loans are there, government says that okay, we will pay back that particular loan to the bank, we will absorb that particular loan. So the liabilities and assets are to be sold and liabilities are also to be settled. Now guys, when an enterprise are being sold between two private parties, when the enterprise is being sold between the two private parties, the deal is not very much complicated. Why? Because let's say there is a company, the company's name is ABC. Now the ABC company is being sold, and who is buying this particular ABC company? Let's say this particular company is being bought by the Adanis. This particular company is being bought by the Adanis. So Adani say that okay, I will buy all the assets and I will I will also basically the liabilities will be settled. Now the banks will come in between and the banks will see that okay, whether the new promoter that is coming, they can settle the liabilities, or how the old promoters, when they will get the money, they will settle over their loans, and all those particular things will be seen by the bank. So bank will say that who is going to pay the loan, whether the old party, when they will get the money, they will settle the loan, or whether the new party will settle the loan, how this thing will go. But guys, when the government is doing a deal, the things get different. How the things get different? Because see, the government is a seller, but at the same time the government is also the majority stakeholder into the public banks. So basically what it says that in a typical asset sale by the government, these approvals are mere a formality. When a debt is assumed by the sovereign government, the banks might not independently do the proper evaluation of this particular thing. Fine. Basically, for example, what can happen at the back door? Suppose the loan of Air India, let's say, to the state, from the State Bank of India, was 10,000 crore rupees. Now the government can go to the State Bank of India and can ask that okay, rather than 10,000 crore rupees, we will pay you 5,000 crore rupees only, and you just simply write off the 5,000 crore rupee loan that you have given. Now obviously the State Bank of India has to do whatever the government is going to say them. Why? Because the State Bank of India is owned by the government of India at the end of the day. So basically it has been said that when the debt is being assumed by the sovereign government of India, now the banks are directly and indirectly controlled by the government. They cannot conduct their due diligence. Fine. They cannot report onto the nature of sale. Fine. Basically it has been said that the government may even force the bank into a settlement with lesser repayment or even a write-off. Whenever this particular write-off will happen, actually who is going to pay? It is the citizen who is going to suffer. How the citizen is going to suffer? Because see, when the bank will write off the loan, obviously the bank's losses will increase, and whenever the bank's losses will increase, the bank will be compensated through bailout, and that bailout will be given by government. Obviously government is not giving the money out of their own pocket. Government is giving the money by the citizens, what they are paying the taxes. So this is one particular angle that has been brought. Fine. So this is what you need to see. However, no need to go too much into the detail in this particular thing. So that is all about this particular article, guys, and now we'll move to the next article. Now this particular article we have taken from the text and the context, understanding the provisions for the foreign visits of state government ministers. Now guys, see, first of all, just for a sake of general awareness, you need to see this particular article. You don't need to go in deep in this particular article. This particular article is giving the various example that okay, on which particular date, who applied to the ministry for what type of an approval, and then what they said, and all this particular story, it is being just told. Not very much important for you. Just we need to see this particular article for our general awareness. Actually, before going in this particular article, I will give you some of a background. So basically what has happened, guys, recently the chief minister of Delhi, he was denied he was denied a permission. Why? He wanted to visit Singapore. He wanted to visit Singapore for the mayors of city, where the mayors of cities were meeting for the World Cities Summit. Now into this World Cities Summit, where the mayors of different cities were meeting, they were presenting that okay, what they have done in their cities, what worked well, and the knowledge sharing was there. So the chief minister of Delhi wanted to go to the Singapore in order to participate into this World Cities Summit. He wanted to put there the Delhi model, but then he applied for the permission, but he did not got the permission from the government. Clear? So basically it has been said that such kind of things happen many number of times. Now guys, as this particular thing is going on, the Delhi state transport minister has basically moved to the judiciary. He has filed a petition that we need to get the permission from the central government if the travel has to be made by a minister at the level of state. This particular things needed to be changed. So for this particular petition, he has applied to the court. Now we need to see that what will happen or not. But guys, what are the general rules in this particular direction? We'll see that. So basically in 1982, what happened? The cabinet secretariat, it issued one particular memorandum. It provided that if any of the state government minister has to make a private foreign visit, if any state government minister has to make a visit in the official capacity, then they need to take the clearance from the center. Okay, only official visits, they need to take the permission from center. This rule came in 1982. However, this particular rule got further expanded in 2010. In 2010, it was said that even if not only for the official visit they are going, even if they are going for the private visit, if a private visit of minister is there, then also the permission has to be taken from the central government. And today, for every visit, the permission is to be taken from the central government. So basically now it is being said that okay, when the official visits are there, it is understood, but why for the private visits also the permission is to be taken by the government? It is being said that it is impacting the right to privacy. So therefore this particular rule should be changed. So for this particular thing, the petition has been made. Fine. So this is the only thing that you need to know, the maximum. Fine. No need to go even a word beyond this particular thing, because then it will be not necessary for the examination. So that is all guys about this particular article, and now we'll move to the next article. Now, center raises fair prices for sugarcane harvest. Now this article we'll see with respect to the GS paper number 3, agricultural reforms or the initiatives for the agriculture sector. Now guys, this particular article is talking about the sugarcane FRP that has been increased. Now you don't need to see that what price has increased, not at all important. Now this is the concept that we are going to understand here, and this particular concept is important even for your prelims examination. Such kind of questions are asked. So just concept we'll see. You don't need to say that how much price of the sugarcane has increased, how much farmer will now get. Not. Now basically guys, some of a background first. So when we talk about the farmers in India, many of the farmers, they are the landless farmers, they are the small farmers, they are the marginal farmers, and these farmers are to be supported by the government as a part of their welfare policies. Now guys, many of the farmers, they are provided a kind of a price support. What is a price support? There is a minimum price that is announced at which the farmers can sell their produce, so that the distress selling is not there, so that they are able to recover the minimum of some remuneration. Now guys, the price support is majorly given by the CACP. CAP stands for the Commission for Agriculture Cost and Prices. So CACP, it gives the price support for 23 crops in India. What are these 23 crops? For 22 crops, which includes the rabi crop, it includes the fine, it includes the rabi crop, it includes the plantation crops, many cereals are included. Then there is FRP, fair and remunerative price, that is given for one crop, that is the sugarcane. So actually there are the 23 crops for which the price support is being given by the CACP, that is the Commission for Agriculture Cost and Prices. Now 22 crops are being given the MSP, minimum support price, and only the sugarcane, the price support for it is called as the FRP, that is the fair and remunerative price. Now, when we talk about the fair and remunerative price, this is a price that is declared by the central government. Now, this is a price which mill owners are to pay to the farmers. They cannot pay the farmers beyond this particular thing. So, the farmers, they are taking their sugarcane to the sugar mill owners, so they need to pay at least the FRP that has been announced by the government. Now guys, the FRP system in India was based onto the Rangarajan committee report, which recommended certain reforms for the sugarcane industry, and the Rangarajan committee also recommended this particular thing, that you need to give some price surety. So you need to give some price surety to the farmers for the sugarcane. Now guys, when we talk about this FRP, fair and remunerative price, it is based on the basis of the recommendations of basically it is recommended by the CACP, that is the Commission for Agriculture Cost and Prices, and actually it is announced by the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. So who has now revised the FRP? Obviously the FRP has now been revised by the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, on whose recommendation? Or recommendation of the CACP. Now guys, when we talk about this CACP, it is an attached office under the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. Okay, the suggestions that are given by this particular CACP, it is not binding on the government of India. Keep it in your mind. So guys, these are some of the basic examples. These are some of the basic examples that you need to just see. So that is all guys about this particular article, and with this we come to an end to the today's newspaper. Now moving on, now we will be meeting tomorrow. Till then guys, please take care of yourselves, okay, and please do keep on revising. Okay guys, again many times I say this particular thing, that see, rather than just running in collecting the content, revision is more important, because only through revision retention will be possible, and through retention only you can reproduce the content in the class. So that is all for today. Now we'll be meeting tomorrow. Till then guys, please take care of yourselves. Thank you so much.